Meg, you probably want to mute until 7.
Welcome to our very first virtual Read-ality. 'Twas the night of mystery, miracles, and mayhem. Now, we want you to stay with us throughout the whole hour so that you can fill out the exit ticket at the end and be eligible for door prizes. So make sure that you stick with us all the way through the hour. Now, at this time, I'll begin tonight's virtual Read-ality by introducing our special guest author, Sheila Turnage, who is a North Carolina native. Not only is she a poet and a journalist, but she also writes mysteries, the Moe and Dale mysteries to be exact. Some of you may have met Ms. Turnage at your elementary school in the past years. Her book, 3 Times Lucky, won a Newbery Honor Award. We are so blessed to have her join us tonight, and she will be sharing a bit about herself and her newest book, The Law of Finders Keepers. After her presentation, she will give you a few minutes to ask questions, and you can place those questions in the comment section at that time, and she will be able to answer your questions. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Turnage.
Thanks very much, Ms. Phillips, for that great introduction, and thanks to all of you all for being here tonight. I know some of you have read some of the Moe and Dale mysteries. In fact, I know some of you who went to Inglewood Elementary actually came to Raleigh for the launch of this book, The Law of Finders Keepers. This is the 4th book in the series. This is the last book in the series. If you were there, then you know a book launch is a very exciting event for an author and for the readers who love her work. That is like the moment that the book first comes out. While we were talking during that book launch, the book was going into stores all over the world. So thanks again to those of you who came to that. I hope those of you who weren't able to come will come to my next book launch. I'd love to see you there. It was an honor to have you guys in the audience, and it's an honor to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about The Law of Finders Keepers. As I said, this is the 4th book in this award-winning series of mysteries. And in many ways, I think it is the absolute best book in the series. Like all the books in the series, this book features narrator Miss Moses LeBeau, 6th grader, yellow belt karate student, and goddess of free enterprise. It also features her best friend, Dale Earnhardt Johnson III. Together, Moe and Dale are the desperado detectives. Everybody loves a mystery. And I think that's one reason these books are so popular. All of these mysteries, all 4 of these mysteries, and I'll show you the covers in a few minutes, but all of these mysteries are set right here in Eastern North Carolina, where you and I live. So you're going to see places you're familiar with. You're going to see place names you know. All of these are exciting books. I try my best to never write a boring book, and so far so good. These books are fun. They're funny. Even people who don't normally like to read love to read these books. And it's because they're page turners. These are exciting books. So this book, The Law of Finders Keepers, like every other book in the series, brings Moe and Dale face to face with a double mystery. The Law of Finders Keepers is really 2 mysteries in one book, a mystery for the brain and a mystery for the heart. This time, the mysteries are huge. They are the riskiest mysteries in this series. And I think you're going to like it. The brain mystery in this book involves a race for Blackbeard's treasure and a very suspicious treasure hunter who comes to Tupelo Landing where Mo and Dale live. They know at once that this guy probably is up to no good. They also know they want to be the ones to find the treasure. If anybody's going to find that treasure in their own backyard, who do you think it's going to be? Mo and Dale. So this is a life and death mystery for Mo, for Dale, even for Dale's dog, Queen Elizabeth II. There is danger involved for Queen Elizabeth. I'm not kidding. I mean, really, life and death. But there's another mystery in this book that is even riskier in some ways, because the heart mystery in this book ties into the biggest mystery of Mo's life. And that's the mystery of the mother who actually lost Mo on the day that Mo was born. So does everybody know that story? It starts in the book 3 Times Lucky, which is the first book in the series. And I think you're going to find that it ends in this book, The Law of Finders Keepers. The mystery began the day that Mo was born during a hurricane, just like Hurricane Floyd, which you all probably have heard your parents speak of. That hurricane devastated Eastern North Carolina, where we live, many years ago now. We didn't expect this particular hurricane to be that bad, and neither did Mo's mother expect the hurricane that came to her to be that bad, but it was terrible. The hurricane struck in the middle of the night. It sat on us. It stayed put. The rain came down, the lights went out, but we didn't know. We were asleep. We'd gone to bed. We thought this was no big deal. Mo's mom thought the same thing about her hurricane. The rivers crept up out of their beds. They tiptoed across our yards. We didn't know that. We were sleeping. And the rivers crept into people's houses just like the river crept into Mo's mother's home hours before Mo was born. Like many of my neighbors, my husband's neighbors, Mo's upstream mother woke up in total darkness. It was pitch dark. The reason she woke up is her furniture was floating. It was bumping against the walls, and the sound woke her up. She stood up. In cold water, she was terrified. So what do you do when the water rises? Everybody who's lived through a hurricane knows when the water rises, you climb higher. Mo's mother climbed to the roof and waited for help to come. But you know what? It was total darkness. Nobody came. She had her baby on the roof. The water continued to rise. Mo's mother was terrified. Mo's mother could not swim. So in the distance, finally, she saw part of a billboard spinning towards her. She grabbed it. There was room for only one on this piece of a billboard, just one. And like I say, Mo's mom couldn't swim, but you know what she did, of course. She tied her little baby to the sign and let it go on the current. The sign floats downstream to Tupelo Landing, where an odd man named the Colonel drags the sign ashore and finds the little baby. He names the baby Moses before he realizes she's a girl. And Mo is taken in by the Colonel and the wonderful, flamboyant cafe hostess, Miss Lana. Miss Lana already loves the Colonel, and she soon loves little baby Mo as if Mo were her own. So the Colonel, Mo, and Miss Lana become, in Mo's words, a family of choice. But for Mo, the great mystery of her life, even though she's happy, she's well loved, she's well taken care of, but for her, the mystery of her life, the question that comes back to her over and over again is, where is my mother? Why hasn't she come to me? Now, I've spoken to tens of thousands of young readers by now, maybe 100,000 readers, just like you, since the first book in this series came out. No matter which book I'm talking about with kids, guess what their primary number one question is? Will Mo ever find her upstream mother? Kids ask me that all the time. They email me all the time. You're going to find the answer in this book. So, kids love the excitement of the brain mysteries here, the murder. The murder in this book, let me show you the covers. There's a murder in this book. Mo and Dale solve it. There is a wonderful ghost story in this book. That's the brain mystery. Kids love it. And speaking of mayhem, this book is about the mayhem that comes to Tupelo Landing when Dale's father breaks out of jail and gets into trouble. So all of those brain mysteries catch people's attention. They involve kids, they excite kids, but it is that one question: will Mo ever find her upstream mother? That links all of these books together. It forms a wonderful arc across all of these books. Those of you who love to read, as I'm expecting most of you do if you're here, you know how a plot rises and falls. I think you will find that that mystery rises and falls and connects all of these stories together. So let's get back to the law of finders keepers. I think you will be very happy to know, most readers are, that on the very first pages, in the very first pages of this book, Mo unearths some new clues about her long-lost mother that she and her fellow detectives can follow up on if Mo can find the courage to follow up and if she can handle the risk of following up. Think about it. For all of her life, Mo has wondered, where is my mother? Why hasn't she come for me? Now the risks are higher. What if her mother is gone? What if she follows all these clues and her mother is simply gone? What if her mother were washed away in that hurricane? And then here's the kicker. Here's the biggest risk of all, my friends. What if Mo actually finds her mother and her mother doesn't really want her? And that's why she hasn't come. What kind of risk is that? Good grief. That's what Mo's enemies whisper behind her back. That's what Attila Celeste Simpson, who Mo hates, says about her, whispers it. That is Mo's biggest fear. So huge risk for Mo. You'll read it and see what happens, I hope. The brain mystery, let's talk about that just a little bit more. This is a race for Blackbeard's treasure. Of course, the desperado detectives, Mo and Dale, and by the time we get to this book, their friend Harm, are all over that mystery. That mystery ties into our own history. Here in Eastern North Carolina, it ties into our folklore. And you history lovers, I think, will like to know that a lot of the Blackbeard clues in this book actually are based on things that were found in Blackbeard's ship. So I didn't just make that up. That's part of our history. Of course, there are other things going on. If you've read The Ghosts of Tupelo Landing, you've met Harm Crenshaw, and you already know he got off to kind of a rough start. He had a rough childhood. In this book, you're going to meet his mother, a country singer who comes to town to see Harm and to look for Blackbeard's treasure. So once again, this is a book of double treasures, a treasure of the world, a treasure of the heart. Will they find Blackbeard's treasure? I'm not going to answer that one. Will they find Mo's upstream mother? Well, I'm not going to tell you that either. You're going to have to read the book to find out. But I will tell you, this book is a page turner. It's exciting. It's a life changer for Mo, for Dale's dog, Queen Elizabeth II. And it's also a life changer for Harm Crenshaw, who has to make some of the hardest decisions of his life. The stakes have never been higher. I know you don't want me to tell you how it ends, so I'm not going to, but I really think you're going to love reading this book as much as I loved writing this book. And speaking of loving books, I know we all do. I have loved books all of my life. I know you do, or you wouldn't be here. And I just want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a Newbery Honor winner, as you've already learned. I'm a New York Times bestselling author, as you may or may not know. But here's a really important thing I want you guys to know. I'm also your neighbor. I grew up right here in Eastern North Carolina, actually in Pitt County, which I think is a little east of you. I grew up right here. I went to schools right here. Because I have been to visit some of your schools, I know many of you are writers. I know you are painters and dancers and actors and musicians. I want you to know how proud I am of you for honoring your creativity. That is so important. And it's important to recognize yourself for your own creativity. I decided to become a writer when I was in first grade, at the same time that I learned to read. Reading is also incredibly creative. It's a wonderful extension of yourself into a story and a story into you. I decided to become a writer in first grade. I wrote my very first story then. I used one of those fat, ugly pencils and that weird first grader paper. And I used the vocabulary words up on the board. I fell in love with writing at that moment. My teacher came by, she read my story. She said, "Sheila Turnage, this is an excellent story, and you're an excellent writer." Well, all of us know I was first grade. She didn't have to say that. I'm sure I did more things wrong than right. But you know how it is, do you remember how it is when you're small and your teacher's words just sink totally into your heart? That is exactly what happened to me in that moment. When I read my story to other kids, I could see that my words touched their hearts. I had them hooked, and you know what? I was hooked too. That was a huge moment in my life because I found my life's passion in that moment. I've thought of myself as a writer ever since. And I tell you that because if you're a writer or an artist or whatever creative channel you're following, I want you to go ahead and think of yourselves as an artist. I want you to think of yourself as a dancer and know that about yourself. I want you to think of yourself as a scientist or a historian. Or if you love building things like my husband Rodney does, I want you to go ahead and think of yourself in that way and own that part of yourself. I want you to know I am proud of you for recognizing that in yourself. And I hope you will follow whatever your creative channel is, whatever your bliss is, whether it turns out to be your life's work as mine did or a hobby that brings you joy. I want you to follow that. I have that hope for you. That's how I became the writer that I am today, by following that love of writing. And if you haven't found your bliss yet, I hope you will keep searching. I really want that for you. So once again, this is the last book in the Mo and Dale series. In closing, I want to show you all the books in order. I wrote these books so you could read them in whatever order you found them in. But I feel like these books are in your library waiting for you. And I will tell you the truth, they're better if you read them in the order that I wrote them. The first one, 3 Times Lucky. This is the one that won the Newbery Honor. It was also a Edgar Award honor winner for Best Mystery. This is the second book, The Ghosts of Tupelo Landing. If there's anyone who doesn't like a ghost story, I have not met them yet. So read that one second. This one, The Odds of Getting Even, is third. You're going to learn a lot about Dale and about Harm Crenshaw in this. And then finally, the law of finders keepers. I did write these, I will tell you, so you could go from the first to the fourth if you don't want to read the middle two books. So at least read the first and the fourth, please. So thank you so much for honoring me with your attention tonight. Thank you for reading. Thank you for being readers. Thank you for developing that part of yourself and opening so many doors for yourself and for the people around you. That is what I brought to you this evening. That's what I came to say to you. And I'm really curious to see what your questions might be. You can ask me about, maybe you want to ask about the book or about writing or just about creativity in general. I am open to your questions.
So, Ms. Turnage, a couple of questions in the chat right now. First one is, where and when is your next launch?
Where and, oh, that's a great question. You know, this pandemic has shifted everything around, as we all know. That's why we're Zooming to each other instead of me coming to your school. But the next book launch, I expect, will probably be at Quail Ridge Books. That's where every one of my books has launched so far. That's a great bookstore if you've never been there in Raleigh. And so I expect it will be there. I believe it will be this coming year, 2021, but I don't know the date yet because, you know, things are the way things are. I will put it on my website as soon as I know. I would love for all of you all to come. Please come. It's so much fun, and you will meet so many other people who love to read and who love books. So please come. The next book is not a Moe and Dale book. The next book is set on the Outer Banks during World War II. And it's about three very smart, very interesting kids. And it's about a U-boat sitting off, which is a submarine, a German submarine sitting offshore. So I think you're going to like it.
That sounds fantastic. Another question is, how long have you been writing books?
How long have I been writing books? My first book was a picture book. It's called Trout the Magnificent. And I wrote it, oh gosh, I wrote it, I bet 40 years ago. So I think I've been writing, I know, I can't believe I'm that old, but here I am. So that was my very first published book. And I've written, you know, a lot of different kinds of books. I've written for newspapers and magazines. But these books are my favorites of everything I've published so far. These are the ones for me, and I think they will be for you guys too.
All right, two other things. Well, I'll kind of ask these kind of together at the same time. Do you have any tips about writing books? And they want to know about your website, if you have one. I
do have one. Let me answer that first. I'm easy to find. It is SheilaTurnage.com. So SheilaTurnage.com, you'll see my name. I spell Sheila a little bit funny, so check it out on the book cover. When you go to the website, you also will see my email address. Please, if you have questions about writing or about books or whatever, please write. Feel free to write. I'm always glad to get emails. And I try to answer them on Friday. So if you haven't heard from me by Friday, write to me again because I got sidetracked. So that is the thing. And what was your first question again, please?
Just real quick, give them a 5 to 10 seconds, a tip on writing a book.
5 to 10 second tip. This is critical. If you don't want to write a boring book, put in as much conflict as you can. You've got to make the conflict make sense, but conflict is the cure for a boring book.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
spending time with us this evening.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. It's wonderful to be here. And again, thank all of you all for reading. Goodbye.
And thank you, Ms. Turnage, for your time and willingness to come and share your love of reading and writing. Now, at this time, we are going to move into a story time with read by Mr. Kevin Fly, the Nass Central Middle School Media Coordinator. The title of the book is The Redneck Night Before Christmas, wrote up by E.J. Sullivan and drawed by Ernie Eldridge.
Well, hello there. I'm sorry to disappoint you because I know a lot of you guys were looking forward to seeing Mr. Fly like it says in the slide, but there's been a little change of plans. You see, Mr. Fly is a bit of a shy fellow, so he asked me to help him out. I'm going to be the one telling you this story tonight. I'm not Santa Claus. I know you think I am, but this thing looks like the real deal. It's actually a fake. But my name is Bubba, and I'm a friend of Mr. Fly's, and he wanted me to read you this story because he kind of got cold feet. He's never done a live read on YouTube before, so he got a little nervous. And I said, that's just fine. I ain't scared of nothing. I grew up in the South. Well, he did too, but he's a different kind of fella. We won't hold it against him. But this story I'm going to read is a story about the night before Christmas. And you probably think you know this story because you've probably heard the poem "Twas the Night Before Christmas" and all through the house and all that. Well, I'm an educated redneck, so I can tell you that ain't the original name of the story. The original name of the story is A Visit from St. Nicholas. So the Santa in my story ain't St. Nick. He's St. Neck, as in redneck, because I'm about to read you the Redneck Night Before Christmas, all right? And like Miss Billups told you, this was wrote up by E.J. Sullivan and drawn by Ernie Eldridge. Now, Ernie Eldridge, man, he sure can draw good. Look at them pictures. They're real pretty. But I tell you what, Santa Claus needs to put some crayons in his stocking because he used them all up on the front. Once you get in here, there ain't no color. I mean, it's still good. It's still pretty, and I think you'll enjoy it. But somebody please get this man some crayons. Anyway, let me go ahead and get started with this story real quick. And you've probably heard a lot of Christmas stories, but this story doesn't take place at the North Pole. It don't take place in Whoville. It don't take place on 34th Street or in the McAllister house. This one takes place in Paradise Acres Trailer Park. So go ahead and strap in for the Redneck Night Before Christmas. It was the night before Christmas when all through the trailer park, not a pop-top was popping, not even Old Blue barked. Old Blue's my puppy. He ain't the one that does the clues and the notebook and stuff, but he's a good dog anyway. Our stockings was hung over the space heater with care in hopes Santa would fill them with Viennas and beer. The kids was asleep in their NASCAR PJs, dreaming of goo-goo clusters, moon pies, and RCs. And Erlene and her curlers, me and my John Deere cap, had just settled into our lazy boys for Wheel of Fortune and a nap. And there's my Christmas tree done up right, man. I got my fuzzy dice and my fishing lures. And you can see my stockings hung there. This one's for Turk, this one's for Cetus Jr., Erlene, Bubba, and of course, Blue, because he's part of the family just like all the rest of us. Then out in the vacant lot, I heard such a commotion, I thought my neighbor Clyde finally got his T-bird in motion. I heaved out my recliner, to the window I flew, busted out the screen and hollered for Blue. The moon was shining down on my old wrecked cars, so bright they was sparkling like rusty old stars. And I couldn't believe my own hard-working eyes when a jacked-up Ford pickup come flying through the sky. Faster than old Ironhead, his possums they came, and he hooped and he hollered and called them by name. Get up, Sooner. Hi, Duke. Move your tails, Yaller and Spud. On, Blackie. On, Queenie. You mind me, Duchess and Bud. To the top of the satellite dish, to the top of the shed. Now move it, step on it. Y'all get out the lead. Now you might have been expecting reindeer, but, well, if you know rednecks, you know what we do with deer. So Sandy's got him possums instead. This is redneck Santa Claus, y'all. This is a whole different ball game. You know how on our road, when a car goes by, there's all this dirt flies up into the sky? That's how this crew went straight up on my roof with that pickup full of toys and redneck Santa too. Then before I could pop my teeth in, I heard up on the tin the scrabbling around of them flying possums of his. I yanked my head back in and hitched up my shorts. Down the dryer vent, Redneck Santa came with a snort. There he is, y'all, all his redneck glory. I wish Ernie had curled him up a little bit, but you're just gonna have to imagine it. He was dressed in red and green camo from his neck down to his feet, and I had to give him credit. He still had most of his teeth. Looked like stuff from Earlene's yard sale was slung on his back. There was fly swatters and Tupperware and 8-tracks sticking out his back. I could even swore I saw a glistening tear when his eye fell on sweet Earlene snoring in her chair. And look, y'all, this guy did it up right. He's got the redneck down to the cat hat, man. So he kindly favored Hank Jr. with a big round belly that shook when he laughed like a blob of KY jelly. He was fat, all right, blocked our whole large screen TV. And I had to laugh when I saw him because he looked just like me. I mean, y'all, here he is putting the presents under the tree. And I just got to tell you, that resemblance right there, that is uncanny. We's identical twins. Look at that. When he winked his eye, I knew for sure he'd treat us right. Why, he might even leave me some ammo tonight. I stood there dreaming of whitetail while I watched him work. Then he stopped and, like a real man, let out a fart and a burp. See, I can do it too. I can't do the other one on command, but I can do them, you know, just like Redneck Santa Claus. He topped off our stockings with moon pies and bottle rockets, then squoze up that dryer vent like spam in your pocket. See, he does have some pretty teeth there. Look at that. Look at that. He jumped in his pickup, laid on his horn, I'm not lying, and took off like white lightning with them possum tails flying. But I heard him holler as he headed for the 7-Eleven. Merry Christmas to all, and may all rednecks go to heaven. And that is the end of the Redneck Night Before Christmas. Now, I ain't done just yet, y'all, because like you heard Miss Billups and Miss Turner say, this is the night of mystery, miracles, and mayhem. Did you catch the miracle in this story? No. It wasn't Santa Claus. Okay, I can hear what some of y'all are thinking because I'm what they call psychedelic. The miracle is not Santa Claus. Everybody knows Santa Claus is real. How else you get them presents on Christmas morning? Here's the miracle right there. Santa Claus is getting around in a Ford. Okay, y'all know what Ford stands for, right? F-O-R-D, found on road dead, fixed or repaired daily. I'll take a Chevy Silverado over one of them Ford X1 fix me's any day, but Santa got one running. So that right there, that is the miracle. And ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I hope all of you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, rednecks and city slickers alike. And thank you for letting me fill in for Mr. Fly. I apologize for him bailing out on y'all, but it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Well, I would say Mr. Fly, but it was really Santa Claus. So thank you so much,
Bubba.
Santa Claus.
Bubba. I can understand where you got a little throwed.
Okay, so now on to the next thing that we're going to share tonight about Bedford Falls Book Fair. You know, I know all of you know what a book fair looks like when it comes to your school and it's set up, and it's usually hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books all around. Well, do you know what a book fair looks like before it gets to you? Well, I didn't until now. So let's take a deeper look behind the scenes.
Here with Gary Odom, the owner of Bedford Falls. And Gary, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the heart behind Bedford Falls?
We started the company back in 1987, believe it or not, in Charlotte. Started in a little hole in the ground. We used to tell people we were beside the dumpster at parties. So we started very small. We've grown some, but we really believe in community. And that's what this evening's about, is sharing with you who we are. And that way, when you shop with us, you'll get a better idea that we're right here in your neighborhood.
Excellent, thank you.
we're doing an event at your location. You can tell they're all have their own individual field. So this is our loading docks. We have 3 docks here where the trucks will pull in. Trucks will come in from all over the country, delivering books to us. And we'll sort them in our warehouse and get them ready to go out, whether it's shipped out to you or sent out in a truck. What I'd like to do is kind of walk through the warehouse, give you a general idea of how things are set up. All of the books here are books getting ready to go out to different schools. We just kind of put on the shelves. Do we have enough for a box? And typically we'll ship those out to the schools. If you're in a situation where you cannot come to your school, some of the schools have us ship them to the family. A lot of these do go out to the high school and to the middle school. Big Nate also goes out to the elementary schools. There are just so many different titles that we have available. We want to make sure you can find the book that's best for you. And anything you can try to imagine, whether it's Dork Diaries, Diary of the Wimpy Kid, just on and on. As we continue to move on now, we're getting close to starting the chapter. And these books you might be familiar with this week. These are all the books by turnage. You'll see that we have the first 3 titles in plenty of supply. And we also have Sheila's most current book, Law of Finders and Keepers. So all of these books are available to you. We definitely know that if you order those books, we'll have them right out to your home or to your school. In a moment, I'm going to show you what we call our advanced readers set up on the cart. But these are very good. They're lightweight for us to move around. And these are definitely the heart and soul of a middle school book fair. Here's what one looks like as it's loaded up to go to your school. So we actually work down the shelves, packing the carts in the same order as the shelves by author's last name, and set it up so that we're trying to make the best presentation that we can. And look what I found here. I found Unleashed. I think you're going to be hearing a little bit more about Unleashed in the weeks ahead also. And this part of the warehouse is where a sports section is. The warehouse is divided by categories throughout. So all of our major themes have their own section. So here you're going to notice a lot of books, both elementary and middle. They'll go out to the appropriate fairs that you might have. When it comes to your school, this is what the display would look like. And these are pretty much set up for an elementary school. But these wire racks do a very good job of showing the faces of the books to give you a better idea of what you might be interested in. We have been able to acquire some wonderful titles from different publishers, and these books will be listed on the website as special offers. The cool part about them is all of these books are 60% off. A lot of good titles, including a lot of good middle school titles that you'll see that you might find that are interesting to you. Things like Hit and Run. And also we carry the entire Charlie Plumper series, which is a very good book. And we also carry a lot of good nonfiction. This is one particular book I'd love to show you. The book is Countdown, a beautiful book about going to the moon. You're going to find wonderful, everything from poetry to nonfiction sections, just an extremely well-written, well-illustrated title that middle schoolers would really enjoy.
Here with Gary Odom, the owner of Bedford Falls. And Gary, why don't
Okay, now that we know what a book fair looks like before it comes to you, now we have an opportunity just for you to be able to purchase your books for your own personal library. Now, the website that's on your screen right now, you would go to the BedfordFallsUSA.com website. That website will be placed at the bottom of the description, in the description at the bottom of the video at the end of this evening. And you would click on that link, click on login at the top, have a parent, click on parents in the right and complete the registration. Now, as part of your registration, the school codes are over on the right-hand side of your screen, and you need to make sure you put in those school codes. And as you saw, they have all of Sheila Turnage's books that you could purchase. Now, if you order your books by December the 12th, the books will be shipped free of charge to the school, and you can pick them up at the school by the last day that we're in school. Okay. If not, if you want to purchase books at a later time, you can. You'll just need to have them shipped to your house if you want them in time for Christmas. Now, we had a story for Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins that was going to be read by Miss Strocock, the Southern National Middle School Media Coordinator, but we're running short on time, so we're going to pass by that and move on to the next thing. And if we have time at the end, we'll come back to that slide. Okay. So now we have a fun 12 days of Christmas for you to watch. Get ready to laugh because it's hilarious. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever heard 12 Days of Christmas quite like that one. Now, we're getting close to the end, and I wanted to talk to you a minute about the exit ticket. Now, there are door prizes, and in order to be eligible for the door prizes, you need to fill out the exit ticket. Now, the exit ticket will be placed in the comment section in just a few minutes, and it will be open for 1 hour. So you'll have plenty of time to fill it out. It's not very long. But in order to be registered for the door prizes, you have to complete the exit ticket. Now, stay with me because I have one more slide I want to show you. We have a slide of holiday games and activities that we will also place in the description below the video. And every single picture in this slide has something for you. It's either an activity, something you can create, something you can watch, something you can read, even all the way down to the snowflakes. And when you click on the snowflakes, you see a snowflake, paper snowflake generator, and it actually makes a snowflake on your computer. And when you click on the camera, it's a reindeer cam. And you can scroll down and look at a live feed of a reindeer cam. Now, that's just a couple of things. You can click on the Christmas tree, the presents, the Santa hat, the fireplace, the wreath. Everything on here has something. Even the menorah down at the bottom has something for you to do or create. So don't forget to check that slide out after the presentation is over. Now, back to the exit ticket. At this time, the exit ticket will be placed in the comments if it's not already, and you can click on that link and fill out that exit ticket before leaving us tonight. We want to say thank you for coming and joining us for this hour of holiday fun, and we want to say a special thank you again to Ms. Turnage for being a part of our evening tonight, and even Santa Claus. Thank you, Santa Claus, as well. All right, get on those exit tickets and get them completed.